Hello and welcome to Saturday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where, as sort of previewed yesterday, I plan to attempt this puzzle called the Arkenstone by Blobz. And those of you familiar with The Hobbit and or The Lord of the Rings will know of the Arkenstone, I'm sure. Why are we doing this? Well, we're doing this to pay tribute, actually, to Blobz's incredible new Sudoku hunt. That is our monthly reward over on Patreon, the Lord of the Rings Sudoku hunt, featuring the art of Ted Nasmith. It will be live by the time this video goes live, which it should have gone live at 4 p.m. today. And this video will go out at 8:30, assuming I can solve the puzzle. Now, I say assuming I can solve the puzzle because Mark had a look at this yesterday, and he says it's very hard. in fact, he wanted me to make clear that this puzzle is much, much harder than the puzzles in the Sudoku hunt. So if you watch this video, if you try this puzzle and it's very tricky, don't be put off from having a go at the Sudoku hunt. Apparently this is a step or two more complicated, and Mark also said I needed to read the rules very carefully, so I will do that in a moment. The rules are long, actually. We did a video yesterday when we celebrated Marty Sears' 40th birthday. Zippery When Wet was the puzzle, and that, I think, is probably the longest rule set we've ever featured. This one is also a long rule set, so I'll try and find something with a much shorter rule set tomorrow. But it seems only appropriate that we do something Hobbit / Lord of the Rings, or at least Tolkien related, to say thank you to Blobz. And this puzzle is very popular with those who have managed to solve it. I did find it on Logic Masters and noted a 98% approval rating. Not many solves. I think 4 stars out of 5 for difficulty. I might be getting that wrong, can't remember. Anyway, so that's one of the things I wanted to mention. Was I've got some birthdays to do as well. It's strange, yesterday it was only Marty Sears' birthday, but today there are many more birthdays. I'm just trying to think if there was anything else I was meant to mention. There probably is. Forgive me if I'm forgetting something. Oh, I don't know. So why don't we just do birthdays? David, you turned a secret age today. What could that be? I know this because your wife Corrie wrote to us and said you'd appreciate a shout out. So David, many happy returns. I hope you have a huge amount of chocolate cake today. Maddie, you've turned 29 today, and I know you're having chocolate cake. You're having homemade chocolate lava cakes, which sound fantastic. So Maddie, I hope you have a great birthday. Jackie, it's your birthday, and I know this because your husband John wrote to us and noted that you have kindly put up with John's requests to watch a bit of Geek on regular occasions over the past year. Is that what Cracking the Cryptic is? Watching a bit of Geek. Anyway, thank you for that, Jackie. Thank you for putting up with John's request. I hope you have a good birthday. It seems only fair that should be the trade-off. Next, I think it's going to be Johanna, but it could be Johanna. Over in Sweden, Daniel wrote to us and said that that you like the way we talk, and the two of you have started solving the puzzles together as an evening ritual, which sounds, I love the sound of that. So Johanna, I hope you have a great birthday today. Next, Jonathan, you've turned 16 today, and I know this because your dad Andreas over there in Germany wrote to us to say you'd appreciate a shout out. Although I gather you're more of a gamer than a puzzler, although you're umming and ahhing about whether you might start to like puzzles. Well, Jonathan, I can recommend them to you, and I hope you have a great 16th birthday today with some very good German chocolate cake. What is it? Schwarzwälder Kirschtorte, I want to say. That's good stuff. Anyway, next, Lana. Lana, I remember you. You've turned 7, haven't you? Because I think I've read your birthday out before, on your 5th and 6th birthday. I might be wrong, but Lana, your mum Samila wrote to us, and I think you're down there in Sydney, Australia. I apologise if I've got that wrong. But Lana, I hope you have a great birthday today. Thank you for watching the channel, and many happy returns. And then finally, Max, you've turned 18 today, and I know this because your mum Mary wrote to us She wrote us a lovely email, actually, telling us you're graduated, or I think you might have just graduated from City Honors School over there in Buffalo, and you're about to go to Oregon State University to do computer science in September. But your mum also told us, Max, that you are basically the best kid that a mum could possibly hope for. And I'm not going to make you big-headed by listing the adjectives that your mum used, but they were a lot of nice ones. So, Max, very well done on being such a good son, and happy birthday. Now, that's all the news. Let's have a go. Let's see if we can find the Arkenstone. I gather it's not, the dragon we're up against here is the dragon Snyder, not the dragon Smaug. Now, is it Smaug or Smorg? There is a question. I would say Smaug. I can't remember what they used in the films. The films are probably definitive now, but I'm not sure. Anyway, these are the rules of the puzzle. Bilbo... Oh, okay, I didn't spot that. I should have spotted that. Bilbo Bobbins. That's very good, Blobz. Okay, Bilbo Bobbins is on a quest to procure the Arkenstone. Row 5, column 5. That one. That sits in the dragon Snyder's lair. I think that's a reference to Snyder notation and the great Thomas Snyder. Anyway, that sits in dragon Snyder's lair, a 2x2 region in box 5. Under Logic Mountain. Okay. Yes. The Lonely Mountain, not Logic. Yeah, sorry. I'm just thinking back to my Hobbit. It's the Lonely Mountain in the Hobbit, but in Sudoku World, it's Logic Mountain. Row 9, column 1 marks the entrance to the Whispering Tunnels, an orthogonally connected region leading to the Lair. Oh, the Dragon's Lair, which is in here somewhere. Adjacent digits along the tunnels and dead ends differ by at least 5. The path from start to Lair, ignoring dead ends, is 26 cells. So we go from here to the middle in 26 cells, ignoring dead ends. I'm not quite sure what that means. With Arkenstone acquired, Bilbo must escape through the modular passage that begins on the opposite side of the lair and leads to a secret door exiting the mountain. Row 5, column 9. So, okay, so the overall path goes from here to here, but it goes via something in the middle, which is the dragon's lair. Okay. Every set of 3 digits along this passage, which does not branch, must contain one each of the sets 147, 258 and 369. The total sum of the digits along this secret passage is 45. That's very good. Okay. So we go from here to here somehow in 26 cells. That's not 26 cells. So we go somehow like that into a lair in the middle, and then we go out of a lair in the middle and into row 5, column 9, and the sort of pathway we take changes its nature. So getting to the middle, it's like a German whispers line. Every adjacent digits have to differ by 5. But once we've got to the middle and we go out the other side, it turns into a modular line, which adds up to 45. Okay, that sounds like a good summary. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Okay, so that means we have to put the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, and every 3x3 box. Shade some cells, brackets, inverted commas, walls, and leave others unshaded, tunnels, lair, and passage, such that no 2x2 region except the lair is fully shaded or unshaded. Also, there are no checkerboard patterns of shaded or unshaded cells, i.e. the unshaded region does not touch itself diagonally. Okay. All wall cells must be in orthogonally connected groups with at least one cell at the grid's edge. Okay, so this is like cave rules, basically. If you're familiar with the logic problem cave. So, I don't know how to do this, but if What we couldn't have is the path doing something like that and enclosing a grey cell, because this grey cell cannot be part of an orthogonally connected area to an edge. So anything grey in this puzzle, no matter how central it appears to be, will have to meander towards an edge. That is what that's one of the rules that we're going to have to obey. Okay. Oh, no, there's still more rules. There's still more rules. Hang on. There's another paragraph of rules. All caged cells, okay, are either tunnel or passage. Okay. The digit in the cage plus its modifier indicates how many unshaded cells, including itself, can be seen orthogonally from that position. Walls block sight. E.g., if a cage contains a 7 and has a -2 modifier. Okay, let's put 7 in there because that's got a -2 modifier. Then that cell can see 5 unshaded cells total, including itself. So this would be part of the tunnely thing. And 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. So something like that. And then those would all be wall, is how I understand that to work. No, hang on, I've done 7, haven't I? I meant to do 5. Oh, Bobbins, sorry, I've already messed this up. Right, so it would have to look something like that, which doesn't work because now that's a cage cell and that's meant to be uncaged, or it's meant to be passageway. 1, 2, right, that's got 5 in it, so something like that. Right, so okay, I think I've now got this right. So if that was a 7, you look at the modifier, which is -2, so its count is actually 5, and 5 is telling us how many cells this cell sees before it sees walls, horizontally or vertically, is how I think it works, which is quite complicated, and that is at the end of a lot of other complicated things. But anyway, do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking. So let's start. I thought there was something in there that said all of the cage cells are tunnel or passage. Now, what's the difference between a tunnel? Oh, tunnel is the first thing, is it? Yes, okay. So tunnel is the German whispery thing, and passage is the modular thing. Yeah, but okay, but it says all of the... Oh, I see. I can't just double-click on all the cages. I actually have to highlight them. Right, so I'm going to go through all of the cages because they are all definitely passage/tunnel. They're definitely not walls. That seems to be true. Now, in the middle of the grid here, there is a 2x2 that is the Snyder layer. And that's going to divide up the whispering tunnels, the German whisper line from the modular line. So that 2x2 layer only has 4 possible positions, doesn't it? Okay, sorry, I'm just gonna look at these rules again. Leading to layer adjacent, so there's a German whispery line. The path from 26 cells. The Arkenstone acquired. Bilbo goes through the modular passage. And then there's this thing. There's no 2x2s and there's no checkerboarding. So those 2 squares can't both be wall. These two cells can't both be wall. So wherever we have a diagonally connected group of green cells, those green cells are forming... you know, that they're forming some sort of unit like this. Although, yeah. But there's this concept of dead ends is worrying me. So there are dead ends. Hang on. Orthogonally connected region lead adjacent digits along the tunnels and dead ends differ by at least 5. Okay, so there's some actual path from here to somewhere in here that takes 26 cells, but that's going to have some branches off it that aren't on the path but are in tunnels, I think. It is quite difficult actually, this, to actually understand. And then right, so okay, so this square is part of a German whispers sequence. Okay, so let's think about what we know about German whispers sequences. They don't have 5 on them. That's the first thing we can say, because if that was a 5, if this digit was a 5, the next cell would be impossible. If the path went here, this would have to be 5 different from 5, and if you go down you get to 0, if you go up you get to 10. So what that means is this square is either lower than 5 or higher than 5. But the interesting thing is then, the next cell on the path will have the opposite quality. So if this is lower than 5, because this next digit, if it's there, would be at least 5 different from whatever this was, you can see if this was 1, you'd have to go up to at least 6. And if this was 4, you can't go down 5 to get to a lower number, so you'd have to go up to 9. So this is always higher. This would always be a higher than 5 digit, and then the next digit would be a lower than 5 digit. So you get this oscillation. Now, okay. But the thing is, we don't know, do we? So I was looking at this domino. See that domino there? That is interesting. Because this... that square, -3, can't be a low German whispers number. Because if it was a low German whispers number, it would be a 1, 2, 3 or 4. And if it was, even if it was as high as 4, once you take the modifier -3, that would suggest this cell only sees 1 cell. And it definitely doesn't see 1 cell, because that would imply it was fully enclosed by wall, and it sees that square. And that would mean this was a high digit on a German whisper. And that would be very interesting to know, because if that was a high digit on a whisper, well, it wouldn't. Would it be very useful to know? It's very, actually, this is very tricky. This is very tricky because the problem here is that we can't, or at least I don't know, which part of the green cells is modular line. But what I was going to say is, let's say this was proved to be whisper. Let's say these cells were all proved to be whisper cells. And I would know the polarity of this one, because it couldn't be low. Well, then there's a sort of checkerboarding effect. Oh, there's an insect that's just flown in. What do I mean by checkerboarding effect? Well, this square is not on the same bishop's colour as this one. So given this would be a high whispers line, if this was also whispers, this would have to be a low whispers line. A low whispers digit, so it would be a 1, 2, 3 or 4. This would be the same as that one because it's on the same bishop's colour. And that's because to go along a tunnel from here to here, you would always be taking an odd number of steps, no matter which way you went. So what that means is that the world would be a very much more understandable place if we could divide the green cells up into those which were whispers and those which were modular. Hang on, and how did we do the modular thing? The modular line was... The modular line... I can't even find it now. Oh, here it is. So once we get the Arkenstone, we go to the opposite side of the lair, and then... Oh, and then we go on a straight path. What I mean by a straight path is it doesn't branch. So if... Yeah, that's not going to work though. Okay, let's try a different way. Something like that. We could construct a Loch Ness monster. And then that path is going to go and sum to 45. And we're going there along the modular path. I mean, my instinct is it's very difficult. If you start there and you're going there in the end, to make this modular feels very difficult. Is that impossible? I mean, is it just impossible? Because this would... Because there are no checkerboards, this would join to this somehow. I sort of feel this would be cut off from the top, from it would be cut off by the time we went from there, effectively from there to there. There's going to be a wall across the grid that the whispers line could never cross. But I suppose we... No, I don't know. It just feels like it would be too long to me. Okay, maybe we could do this a different way then. Maybe the way to do it is to say, if this is modular, then this is modular, isn't it? Because because we can't do that. So something here, one of those would have to be green, because both of them couldn't be green, or we'd have a 2 by 2. So you'd have something like this. If this is modular, I just don't think this works, but it's a bit difficult to prove it, I think. Then this square is definitely German whisper. So this would have to exit box 7. Not touching this. If we're claiming that this is modular, but this could be here, obviously, then because the path is not allowed to touch itself, not even diagonally, it did say that, didn't it? It did say that. I'm sure I've read that. Yeah, there is no checkerboarding pattern of the unshaded cells. The unshaded region does not touch itself diagonally, and the unshaded region incorporates both the German whispery bit and the modular bit. So, right, so if this is true, I have to get this out without ever touching this. Because otherwise this would be part of the whisper, if this is, because this is the whisper. So we have to go along the bottom of the grid. These would have opposite polarity. Ooh, well, that's impossible. Okay, all right. I think it's impossible anyway, but I can prove it's impossible, which is better. I think it's impossible because I can't really see how that can join to that without cutting this off from either the middle or from something in the grid that has to be a German whisper. But I can prove it now, because if we're trying to claim that this domino, this cell is the most interesting cell for me, because that's the one. If I can prove that's a whisper cell, I know it's high polarity. And then I suppose I'm going to know that's low polarity, and I'm going to know that's low polarity, and I'm going to know, and I will know this one actually. So this is the key to the highway. Now, but if this is modular, then this has to get out through here. These would have to be wall. And now the puzzle's broken, isn't it? Because we have to get this out. So that's got to be, that's also got to be, whatchamacallit, tunnel, whispering tunnel. And these two squares have opposite whisper polarity, which means one of them is low. One of them is a 1, 2, 3, or 4. And yet this section already sees 5 horizontally. So that cannot work. You just can't make it work. And that means that this is bumping into this somehow on its way. Well, not necessarily. This could be dead end, but this is part of the whisper. And if this is part of the whisper, it can't be low, so it's high. So it's 6, 7, 8, or 9. Now this is 1, 2, 3, or 4. This is 1, 2, 3, or 4 because it's on the same bishop's colour. This comes out because we don't know which of these is green. We know one of them is because these can't both be wall. This is high. This is low, which is interesting. Can't be a 1 because Bilbo wouldn't get very far if that was a 1. Bilbo would be fenced in by walls, and that would be very upsetting. Okay. That can't be a 1 because it already sees 2. In fact, that can't be a 2 because I know one of these is definitely green. Because if otherwise, if this was only 2, it's already seen it. That's happening, and this is causing a checkerboard. So that's definitely not a 2. Now that's at least 3 or 4 now. So this digit is at least 5 different from 3 or 4. So that digit is 8 or 9, which is going to make. That's probably a cell we need to think about from a sort of how far it can see perspective. But I want to think about these two first. Now, okay, so well, okay, this is not a 1. And we can say that because if it was a 1, its modifier would take it up to be a value of 2, which would mean that these 3 cells were all wall because it already sees 2 here. And then I get a checkerboard, which is not, I'm not allowed. So that's not a 6 now. Yes, okay. Actually, something I'm appreciating as I'm doing this is that, yeah, okay, so we've got to be very careful here because the whisper part of the path is sort of sitting independently of the cave part of the path. What do I mean? Well, this modifier of -3 and this modifier of +1, they apply for thinking about how far these cells can see in the tunnels, but they don't apply for the purposes of comparing these two digits in terms of the whisper rule. The whisper rule sits aside from that and just says these have to be at least 5 apart. So we don't apply the modifier. So there's well, we're going to have to make sure that I don't get muddled. Now, how does this get out then? So now it can just go up there and join up. Actually, we don't want to bump into that. Oh, no, we don't want to bump into that, precious. That would be bad. I don't know, actually. I sort of feel like I want the path to go more this way. The whisper path than that way. Can't really see how I could get to a length. 26 is quite long, isn't it? I mean, that's... Oh, hang on. That's nothing like... That's about 12. So it's got to be double this length, basically, without bumping into that or anything that's connected to that, because these two are not going to be wall. Because, again, the path's touched itself there. So this connects to this, and therefore is modular. This is tricky, actually. Right, how long have we had? Half an hour. Goodness, I've no way. I'm not even close to sniffing a digit here, am I? Well, do I know... Does this have to sort of run up this column? I suppose it can't bump into that, can it? Oh, yeah, actually, that's an interesting point. Yes, right, here's a point. This cell, which is 8 or 9, but can't bump into that one. Well, no, it could bump into it. No, it can't. No, it can't. It really can't bump into this one directly, because although that could be a 4, if this does that, that would be a 4. That would mean this was a wall. So this 8 or 9 would have to go that way, and that would make a 2 by 2 of green here. So it definitely doesn't bump into this, which means it's limited in its verticality. It could take that square, but it could never take that square as well. And what I'm noticing is horizontally it can't take 2 more squares, because that would create a 2 by 2. So it can take a maximum of 1 cell there. 1, 2. But it's at least an 8. So it's got to have 6 vertically, and it can't have more than 1 here. So 1, 2, 3. It's got to go up. It's got to go up more. I think we might have to take that one. If that's wall, I don't think the count's going to work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's not even close to working. So this is definitely also passageway. This now is wall. That's our first wall cell to avoid a 2 by 2 of tunnel. Now we can fill all these in with their whisper equivalent. So they're their high digits. These are low digits. You can't put a 4 here because 4 is monogamous on whisper lines. That would cause both of these to be 9 and break Sudoku. Same is true there. 6 is monogamous and can only be surrounded by 1, so we can't make this 6. Don't know what that means. That gets a +1 modifier. So if that was a 9, it would have to see 10 cells. It would be coming out this way. Okay. Where do we look now then? If... hang on, sorry. What do I know about this? I know this doesn't come too far vertically, because if it took both of those squares, this would be transformed into an enormous number. So it only sees a maximum of 1 vertically, but it could see up to 4 horizontally. Oh, okay. How could that be a 3? This is like a deliberately not 3 in the corner. If that was a 3, that won't work. Because 3, not allowed to bump in here, and not allowed to connect to this, because that would make that a 4. So 3 could only be achieved that way. And now to get this out, one of these needs to extend, but not into these 2 squares. So it would extend there and create a 2 by 2, which is not going to work. So that square's not a 3 in the corner. It's an even number, and it's 2 or 4. And I think lots of things are probably possible there. Right. This square is interesting, because even if I thought about whether that could be a 10. If that was a 7, it still gets adjusted +1 to be an 8. How many vertical cells could we create in column 1? Well, we could pick up that one, and we can pick up that one, but we can't pick up this one as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is the maximum vertical count of this clue. So it has to take at least one horizontally. Now this square, remember this has to get to the edge somewhere, so it's got to get out from its little cul-de-sac. So this square is now 1, 2, 3 or 4 by whisper rules. This square is now wall, because otherwise we've got a 2 by 2. Oh, nearly. I feel like we're quite close actually to getting started here. If we could, if that's a 6, that's an 8 at least. This is an 8 at least. So if that's a 6, these both have to come out. No, that's not true. Well, no, that's not true. Because it could be 6 vertically and then... Well, no. Okay. Yeah, I think these might have to come out then. If this comes down there, then this can't grow vertically or horizontally. Hang on, that's interesting. If that takes that square, if this comes down to complete its connection to this domino, both of those get walled in. How do you get to 8? You can't. Oh, that's lovely. Right. Here is a decent deduction. This cell is not green. Because if it is, both of these turn grey to avoid making a 2 by 2 here and here. And this 8 or 9 clue is impossible. Because it would see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it could get 7, but it could never get 8, let alone 9. So this square is definitely grey, and therefore, to avoid a checkerboard, this square is definitely green. That square's grey, because otherwise I get a checkerboard. Sorry, I get a 2 by 2 here. Now, am I allowed to make that cell grey? I think... I'm not sure. I mean, obviously, if that's green, I've got a checkerboard. I thought it just said I can't do that. The unshaded region does not. Now, does the layer count as unshaded region? Let me just read this again. This is, others unshaded, tunnels, lair and passage. Yeah, so the lair is unshaded. Okay, so this square is not lair, because that would create a 2 by 2. So that square is grey. And this Arkenstone is basically unshaded. So the 2 by 2 area in this box then for the lair is now either here or here. It can't be there, or it would overlap with the wall. So that square is definitely unshaded. Oh, hang on, I've got a digit. I've got a very, very obvious digit. This square is a 3, because that's its count. That's how many cells it sees. Oh, that doesn't tell me what this is, though. Oh, it takes 3 out of those squares. That's one small point. This is a... Oh, this is huge. This is huge, because this, I've got to play whispers with this digit. And that means it's 8 or 9. Because it's got to be at least 5 different from 3. And now I've got an 8-9 pair in this box. And that makes that a 7. And that makes that not a 7. But this 7 becomes an 8. And that means... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's only seen 6. Oh, it could just see those 2. It doesn't have to grow. Ah. Oh, that's a shame. Well, but how? Oh, lovely. Right. Okay. I'm going to do something very simple. That's a 7, so that can't be a 3. 3 and 7 are too close together. They're not 5 apart. And that's really rather pretty, because now this is a 4, look. Because it sees a 1-2 pair in its column. So does that mean... Yeah, this cell is impossible to be green now. Because if that's green, to get this to a count of 4, because it could never take this square as well, it would have to take those 2 squares, and that would automatically make it a count of 5. So that square is definitely grey. And the 4 is just going straight across the bottom of the grid to this square. And it must see 4, so it doesn't see any further than 4, so this becomes grey. This square is the... Well, let's do polar... Oh, no, this is a 9. This is a 9. 4. The next digit needs to... 4 is monogamous along whispers. So this is a 9. This square is low. Not 4. That's not 4. This square is high. Oh. Hang on. Oh, that's okay. It's just okay. This is... Actually, this is lovely. Because look. This, by polarity of the whispers line that lives within the whispering caves, this has to be a high digit, which is 6, 7, or 8. It's not 9. But... how do we get this to a count of 6? It's unadjusted, it's got a 0 modifier, so it has to go up there, and then it is a count of 6. It can't get any more cells. So it is a 6, which is monogamous and must see 2 1s. This square has to be grey to avoid a 2 by 2 of green, and that has to get to the edge, so that's got to be grey. And there are no 2 by 2s of shaded cells, so that's got to be green, which is doing something to this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It now has achieved 8liness, but it could still be a 9 because that could be green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, and then this would be correct if that was grey. Now, okay, this digit is a 3 because, well, it's a low digit on the whisper and it's not 1 or 4 and it sees a 1-2 pair, so that's a 3, that's a 2. The 2 is a... Oh, look, yeah, this is fine. The 2 is adjusted by 1 to become a 3, but it already sees 3, so that's got to be a wall cell. And now that must be workoutable, the technical term. That one, well, that sees 4 cells. Oh, I see. Yeah, that's fine. If this is a 7, it works, because 7 minus 3 is 4, and that's how many that cell must see. So that is a 7. Right, so how can... The lair can't be this, because that's going to create a checkerboard, and we're told that's not allowed. So the lair is there. There we go. We've found Smaug's lair, or Snyder's lair, or whatever it was. The dragon Snyder's lair is here. If this was green, we'd have a 2 by 2, which we're not allowed to have, so that's got to be grey. That's got to be grey, or we'd have a 2 by 2. And therefore... Well, therefore, what do we do with this knowledge? We could say that... Right, I know what we say. That cell is grey. Because imagine this cell was green. What would its quality be? Its quality would be that of lowness, because it's next to a high German whispers digit. Which low digit could that be? The answer is none, because it sees a 1-2 pair, a 3 and a 4, so that's grey. Now this, see, this is now seeing 6 cells, and it's an unmodified because it's in a 0. So if this is a 6, that's grey, that's grey. Oh, wait a second. This is fixed now. This is an 8 clue, and it sees 6 vertically. So that's now definitely green. And that must be grey, because otherwise this would be too big. And we can't have a checkerboard, so that can't be green. So that's got to be grey. this square has got, that's a 6. Oh, this is very clever, Blobz. This is very clever, because now that's getting sealed in. What do I mean? Well, 6 on a German whisper is monogamous. It can only go next to 1. Oh, we're getting all sorts of things actually as a result of this. But the thing I noticed first is once this is 6, this can't be green. Because if it's green, what number is it? And the answer is it's a 1, and there's already been a 1 there, so that's got to be grey. So now, well, now I must know that. That must be what I do know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's an 8. So that's a 9. So this is not 8. This is 6 or 9. But here is the question. Do we know if this is 6, the path ends, and that means that to get the path to go here, we have to go along this way. And I didn't like the look of this. That cannot be right. It cannot be right to come along here. Because surely I'm going to bump into this, or the path's going to be too short. If we come along there, that would be low polarity. It would be adjusted by -1. Okay. So I can prove... I didn't think visually that it was possible for the path to go this way, but it actually is impossible anyway, because if the path did come along here, this would be green, okay, and this we'd have to put a low digit in for whispers preservation. Now, which low digit should we put in there? It's 2, 3, or 4, but it already sees 3, and it's getting adjusted down by 1, so this would have to be 4. These would all be sealed off, and the path would end. We forced the path to end. So what this is telling us is that Bilbo Bobbins does not come along this way to get to the Arkenstone. He must come out here. So he goes there. And that means this is a 9. Because it could only be a 6 if this was grey. So it's now a 9. 6, 7. So that's got to be green. And that, I think, makes this clue quadrate, and that square has to be grey to make that work. And now we can do German whispers again. So this is a 2. Because it can't be 4, because otherwise otherwise that would be another 9, wouldn't it? So that's 2. This square is high, it's 7 or 8. This square is low, it's 3 or 4. Which means this can't be 7. Because that can't be 1 or 2. That's lovely. So this is 8. And this is getting adjusted by... Oh, yeah, look, it's all sort of starting to flow now. This has to be a 3. Because if it was a 4, it's getting adjusted by 2. So this cell would need to see 6 greens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is its maximum count. So that's 3. That's therefore green. That's grey to avoid a 2 by 2. That is... well, if it's green, it's 6 or 7, which it looks like it could be. If it's grey... if it's grey, nothing. Don't really understand that, but okay, this is still, the pathway has to continue, so that's got to be green. Let's fill all the whispers consequences in then, so that's got to be 8 or 9, so it's got to be 5 different from 3. This has to be 1, 2, not 4, because if it's 4, these two are both 9, so this is 1 or 2. This is high, 6, 7, 8, 9, but it's being adjusted downwards. Okay. So how long is this path now? I'm wondering about whether we can make that green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. How long is the path meant to be? I thought it had to be, yeah, 26. It's an alphabet long. So it's not 22 long. So this is not green. Because if it's green, we can arrive at the lair too quickly. So that's got to be grey. And the path continues. Oh, okay, so the path... So now this is the 21st cell. So if that's green, 21, 22, 23, 24, that's still wrong. So that's grey. We've got to go there. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Perfect. So that's how Bilbo ends up in the lair, is by that route. And now we can German whisper all of this. So every alternate cell, all of those cells are high. 6, 7, 8, 9. All of these cells are low. That's not 2 or 3. It can't be 4 because of where it would cause double 9 to occur. So, oh, look. Right. That's modified by +2. Suddenly the puzzle feels like it's actually getting a bit easier. That's got to be grey to stop this seeing more than 3. Now that's, oh dear. Okay, so this is, well, that's not 6 anyway. It's not 6 because it would cause double 1 in the row. If it's 7, it gets adjusted to 5 and it would see 5. But if it's 8, it gets adjusted to 6 and that would make this green. So it's not 9. That's what we can say. It's 7 or 8. This can't be 4. That would cause double 9. It can't be 1 by Sudoku. So it's 2 or 3. That can't be 6. This can't be 6 for the same reason, because this can't be 1. It would repeat the 1. This can't be 4. It would cause double 9. So I've got a 2-3 pair now. This can't be 6. Okay. But yeah, that square is unmodified. So that actually is a 3. Sorry, I didn't see that. That's a 3 because that's its count. So it can't see any more. So that's grey. That's got to be grey, or we've got a checkerboard. This is now not 7. 7 can't go next to 3 on a whisper. There's an 8-9 pair in box 2, which makes that become a 7. And 7 gets adjusted down by -2 to become 5, which is what this sees at the moment. So that becomes grey. And this cell needs to see a lot more digits, even if this is only 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so all of that's green, and possibly this one as well, depending on what the value of this is. Now that's got to be grey, or we've got a second 2x2 here. So now Bilbo has got into the lair, picked up the Arkenstone, and I think is coming out here into the other passage, the modular passage. I mean, is that... Let me just read. I'm just going to read more about the modular passage again. So the modular passage begins on the opposite side of the lair and leads to a secret door, which is that one, exiting the mountain. Every set of 3 digits along this passage, which does not branch, must contain one each of the sets 1, 4, 7, 2, 5, 8, and 3, 6, 9. Oh, and then we've got the secret total to go on as well. So that means, yeah, okay, I can prove that this isn't green by a different method. If that's green, then, well, we couldn't take this, could we? And this is the end of the passageway, and we can't have any checkerboards or anything. So this is connected to this, but now it must be connected to that as well, because otherwise we're going to have checkerboards. And the pathway to get from the lair out would be something like this. And it's not. We're going down there. So I don't think that can be. I don't think that can be green. But maybe that's a step. Maybe that's an assumption too far in terms of. That can't be 7 because it would be next to a 3. That can't be 7. I've got an 8-9 pair in this column now and an 8-9 pair in this row. Oh, this is a 2, so that's a 1. Okay, maybe I'll hold off on deductions like that just for a moment, just to see if we're going to need them. We might be able to get, that's a 3 by Sudoku. we might be able to do this. What are those? They're a 4-5 pair. What about this column? We need 5 and 6, which is not very helpful. What about 7 in the central box is in one of those squares? Oh no. Well, hang on. That cannot be green, can it? Because if that's green, well, it depends if I'm allowed to assume this is the modular passageway. And it said that the modular passageway exits the lair on the opposite side to the whispering passageway, and so that's this way. It's not here. So this is the modular passageway, which is, we'll just give it a flash. Therefore, we'll give it an orange flash. So if this connected to the whispering passageway, that would seem totally perverse to me. Again, I'm just slightly, I mean, I think that's right, but I'm just slightly nervous that I'm overstepping the boundaries in terms of assuming what the rules mean. Okay, I'm going to carry on. I'm going to carry on just to see if I can get a bit further without making any assumptions about how this thing moves. This, what's that? -1. But I can't use Whisper's logic on this side of the grid. This is a modular situation. But okay, what? Yeah, this is fair enough. Let's look at this square. What number do we put into this square? What actual number? Because this one I am allowed to play the sort of cave counting game in, because it's got a cage. So yes, it has to obey modular qualities, but I can't put a 1 in here, can I? Because 1 would be adjusted down to 0, is suggesting this sees 0 cells. I can't put 2 in there. I could put 3 in there. I think I'm going to have to put 3 in there, because if I don't put 3 in there, I've got to put 6 in there. And even if 6 is adjusted down to 5, how could that work? Because I'd have to come down here like this, and this path is branching all over the place, and it's not meant to. So this has to be a 3, and we either take that square. Well, yeah, it's 3 adjusted down to 2. So we either take this square or we take this square. We don't take both because we're only meant to have a count of 2 here. Right, and this is a modular line. So that is from the 369 modularity. No. So is that on the correct count for the line? I don't know actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I suspect it isn't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is, yeah, all of these are on the modular line. That's definitely true, because they can't be on the whisper line. I don't think. Yeah, I mean, the way this line is going, this can't be, it just can't be orange, can it? Because if it is, we could get to here by just dump, for example, and that cannot add to 45. There's no way. That's definitely grey. I don't think this can be 3, because, yeah, if we take that one the next cell is definitely this one connecting there. So this is the 5th digit along the line. And if we go that way, that's still the 5th digit. In fact, maybe a simpler way of seeing it is that this square is always on the path. So we're either going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, or we're going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, which means this shares modularity with this, which means this square is a 6, actually, because it sees 3 and it sees 9. And it's got the same modularity as this. Now this is then the next digit, which can't be another one from the same modular set as 3, 6, 9. So the 3 is there. That's not going to do very much, but that's the same modularity. So the path never goes to this square, because if it went to that square, this square would again be too soon for the 3, 6, 9 modularity. And the path doesn't branch, so the path must go there. And now we avoid 2 by 2s. The path doesn't branch, so we do that. The path doesn't branch, we do that. That makes that square grey in the corner. This, oh, that is that going to be... Oh, wait, no, hang on. Yeah, this is interesting. That square, by modularity now, is 3, 6, or 9. It's not 6, but it's a counting square. It's counting how many cells it sees. So it can't be 3. That's got to be 9, which means that's 8. And now I'm going to count this. Oh, hang on. This is doing other things. Let's just keep going for a second or two longer. No, not quite. But that's now. That's a -1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, okay. So it's 9 minus 1, which is 8. It currently sees 8, and that confirms what we thought before, which is this is definitely grey. The path is ending either like this or like this, so that is definitely grey. There's no branching. And all we've got to do now is work out... Well, it's probably this square or this square, because at least we can just count the wall cells. I mean, from a pure Sudoku perspective, this is 2, 4, 5, or 7. But it's adjusted by +2. So it's clearly not 7, because it can't possibly see 9. It sees 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It sees 5, and it might see 6 if this is green. So it's not 2, because that would become a 4. It's not 5, because that would become a 7. So that is a 4. And that's teaching us the whole modularity of the line. So 1, 2, that is from 1, that's from 1, 4, or 7 modularity. And it's not 1 or 7, so that's 4. And this is meant to see 6 now, which means that is green. And therefore that is grey. And we haven't actually done all the colouring. We need to do that one. But... for this is 1, 4, or 7, and is 7 now. That makes that a 7 by using pencil marking. 2 and 5 are to place in column 5. Look, oh, we can do the count of this one. Ah! No, we can't. Oh, is it right? It is right. If that's a 2, it gets +2'd, and we see 4, and that's correct. So that's 2, that's 5. 5 is in one of those two squares. This square is... Oh, hang on. Right. Right, so this is from 2, 5, 8 modularity. It's 5 or 8. And this is from 2, 5, 8 modularity. That's 5. That's 5 by 2, 5, 8 modularity. That displaced a 1 pencil mark. And this is going to be determined by... those cells having to add up to the secret 45. So let's see, 10, 22, 22 and 18. That's got to be a 5 to make it work, and it does work, which gives me some confidence we actually haven't made a ricket here. That's a 5 by Sudoku. 5 and 4 go into the grid. That's a 6. That's a 5. These squares here are 7 and 8, which I can do. This square here, that's a 7. That should be doable. That's a 4. This square here is a 6. That square there is a 4. Why can't I know what this is? I must know what this is now. Yeah, okay. Oh, that's gorgeous. Right. This square I know is not green, because if it's green, 2 and 6 have been connected on the green line, and they're only 4 apart. So that's a final, like a little Easter egg there. 2, 5, 6 into those squares. I can't see how to do that. I'll just pencil mark them. That's 6. That's not 2. I don't know if the Lair, I can't remember if the Lair had any special qualities. Let's have a look. 2, 3, 6 into, that's a naked single. That's got to be a 6. That's a 2, that's a 3. So that's a 2. And let's look at these digits. 3 has to go there. We haven't put 5 or 8 into this box, so let's add those to the panoply. This is a 1-9 pair, which is apparently not resolved. So these squares are 7 and 8, which again is apparently not resolved. Slightly worrying. What about this row? 6, 8, 9. That's 8. So 8 lives in one of those. This square is, whoopsie, this square is 6 or 9, and that square is 6 or 9 as well. It may be there's some rule about the Lair I've forgotten. We'll check that in a second. 1, 6 and something. 1, 4, 6. So that seems to be a 4 naked single. But if they're 1 and 6 as a pair, that square there becomes 9, that becomes 6. This square becomes 4. That becomes, no it doesn't, careful Simon. This is a 2, 9 pair. 9 becomes here, 2, 2, 5. 6 over here, 6, 1, 1, 9. That must be quite useful, I hope. 4 and 8, yeah, 4 and 8 get resolved. 8 and 7 get resolved. 7 here, and if we've not made a ricket, that's a 5. Now, I'm not at all sure that this is correct, so just let me take a moment to check that I've fulfilled all the requirements. I have made a path, but whereby Bilbo Bobbins has gone from here to there along a whispers line, I think. That bit of it I'm fairly confident about. Now, having got there, Arkenstone, I must make my escape, which I think is that 45 line. I've shaded some things. The digits. Yeah, no, maybe I have. Maybe I don't see anything there about the Lair having to have a special quality. So I think let's make it clear that that's the Arkenstone. There. No, that's terrible. That's terrible. There, that's better. Right, let's see if it's right now. Yes. Solve counter 10 in nearly, well, 2/3 of a year, roughly. That is a very nice puzzle indeed. It's quite, the only thing I would say about this puzzle is that the rules are quite challenging. And actually, the other thing I would say is that the start is quite challenging, because that was not, it was quite daunting. I could see this was under pressure if it was whispers, but I couldn't see how to make it whispers, and then I couldn't see how it would actually really help to know it was whispers, because I couldn't see exactly how to prove which bits of the puzzle were modular and which bits were whispers. But actually it's very clever, because you don't I wondered at the start whether you had to sort of make the assumption that because this was going to join to this, if this was modular, that would cut off a 26 cell path, and I was not looking forward to proving that. But it's actually very beautiful. All you actually have to do is say, okay, well, if these are modular, how does this get out? and it has to come out along the bottom, and these have different parity. And once you have that thought, that really gets you going. But that's probably not an easy thought to have. I think that took me about half an hour to have that thought. But it's a brilliant puzzle. It's a brilliant prelude to this wonderful, wonderful Sudoku hunt that we've got going on now over on Patreon. Do check it out. If you want a teaser puzzle, there is the long-awaited party, which is I'll link under the video, and is I think a more representative of the difficulty of the hunt than perhaps this one was, although I will say I really enjoyed that. Let me know in the comments how you got on. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. Thanks to Blobz, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.